As I was saying, notice of the meeting was at the front gate in the recreation center. Um, have a moment of silence. All right, thank you. I would like to add something, a motion to add something to the agenda. I thought I had a pen. Yeah. I'd like to add, can I make a motion to add discussion of the vendor committee to D,
Discussion of the vendor committee to what?
to have it item D on the agenda.
You would like to add a motion? You want a motion to add the vendors?
Committee to item D.
Okay. I make a motion to add the vendors committee to item D on the agenda tonight.
You made the motion, Joe
Yes,
seconded.
second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any motion to approve the agenda as it been reconstructed?
So moved.
All right, all in favor? Public comments?
But we're gonna comment and we don't know what the meeting is about.
This is how we always do the comments, Ms. K.
But
Ms.
there's
K.
nothing to come, but we have to comment about that.
Wasn't the agenda up at the front?
You wanna comment on other things?
Yeah, right there.
You wanna
Everyone has an agenda?
Yes.
All right.
Forum and new business. It's just the forum and new business.
That's it.
That's it.
It's gonna be a short board meeting. There was a special board meeting that two board members wanted to have, so we're having a special board meeting. So the agenda is up there. So any questions, any concern about the agenda? Okay, the agenda is there. The only thing I added to the agenda was the vendors committee. That's all I added to the agenda. The agenda was the board members' conduct, lawn maintenance contract, setting a budget workshop date, and the vendors committee.
So that's new and we can't comment on that.
You can comment on,
You can because we added to the agenda and passed the agenda, the amended agenda. So you
Oh.
can comment on
yeah, that's what I'm asking you. This is how we always did it, the 3-minute comments at the beginning of the meeting.
So why are we adding a motion for the vendors committee?
So we can start over. You have.
I need to hear this information.
Me too. I mean, when we comment, I thought the board had something to say, then we comment.
No, we never, okay. All right, you have nothing, Ms. K? Ma'am?
Okay, we talk about the board members. What I've seen here last meeting was very disrespectful, and that need to change. So you want to comment, I'm commenting. So what transpired here last meeting was very, very disrespectful to a lady, and that need to change. Could you comment? Or you can't?
Well, come back.
Okay, yes, I need to comment on the conduct. I think it was not becoming of a board member. As a female, I am apprehensive about coming to board meetings. I have never seen anything like that. I mean, a person get up into a female's face, and it was very intimidating. It was threatening. And I just think the board they must do something about this type of behavior.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Can I piggyback on that?
Go ahead.
What she said is true, and it was very, what's the word I want to use? That you get up and walk out and left Jeff in her face. You got up and walk out as a man.
Okay.
No.
Please, no personal attacks. You
But
cannot.
I have to, but that's what transpired.
Mm-mm.
That was transpired.
Okay.
No personal attacks.
Wait, I want to make a comment to that.
No,
She's
no.
talking about- but
No,
she's-
no, hold up,
she's
hold up,
talking-
hold up.
She's directing that
Once-
towards me.
No, she's directed towards Joel.
About me.
About her.
Again, this is the problem. No personal attacks. At the end of the day, you don't have to point at Joel. You don't have to point at anybody. You can state what you want to state. No personal attacks.
Okay. It was very, very troublesome that when one of the board members got up into the other female board member face, right up in her space, and the other board member sat there. Instead of he moved him away, he got up and walked out. Now, if the board member had hit her, what would have happened? Because he was right in her face, and the other one just got up and go. As a man, he should have been able to make him come off, but he just got up and walked away, and that looks terrible. It looked really, really bad.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Ma'am?
I just want to say that we are adults and we have to respect each other. And as a member of the board, and I see some difference in between the members. So I think that the board has to get and talk to each other and solve the problems before coming and talk to us as a person.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
I just want to say that, I want us to all come together as a neutral party. What happened last time was wrong, but all of us, especially Ms. Ann, Mr. Jack, we all have some good ideas. And if we would just bring the ego down and work together for the betterment of the whole community, because all of you all want it to be better. And you're super smart and sweet and all of that. I see the goodness in all of you, but I'm sorry that happened to you and it wasn't right. But I just think we all need to come together.
Okay, thank you.
I agree with all everyone saying this, on both sides as well. And that's not what I wanted to start out with. I have some questions about, the contracts that we went through at the last meeting, how we're selecting them as far as the, board members are. We lost our property manager, how is that being addressed? And what's the process? How, as members of this, community, are we able to voice our voice on how things are being handled? I'm disappointed as a homeowner at seeing all of this. I think all of our adults are responsible for each other and we should be able to work together. It shouldn't be this difficult. And then the last thing that's real big for me is the budget. How is that being decided on and do we get to say anything about it? So these are my questions.
Okay, before this year, the property manager would send out emails or call companies and get bids. We put a committee together, a vendor committee together, and their job is to help consolidate those bids. We put a new process in there to be transparent, that the bids are sealed. No board members see the bids until all the board members see the bids and things like that, because it was questioned of somebody seeing the bids before, helping their friend get a lower bid. So we put in procedures and things like that and regulations to be more transparent. And what was your second question? Oh, the budget. Every year we have a budget workshop. We come in here, we plug the numbers in, everybody sit around a table. We don't care what you ask for, we throw it in there. Whatever you want to see, we'll put it in because it's a budget workshop. Last year, everybody threw in their wish list items. It raised the HOA fees for some people almost up to $750 a month because that was their wish list. That's what they wanted. Then once we get the wish list, we have to do tough decisions on what we're gonna take out of the budget, what we're gonna lower. Do we want to spend money on a Christmas party? At one point, we had the money to spend almost $20,000 on a Christmas party. It was a great Christmas party, but guess what? We don't have that type of money anymore. So we're gonna set that meeting date. You're more than welcome, whatever you want to see in your budget, you're more than welcome to be a part of the process. And then once we do that, then the board as a whole vote on that budget. But we kind of strip it down at that. We see what the numbers are, and then we go through it and throw those numbers up, see what it are, and we're trying to strip it down to see what can we afford.
All right, can I add something because you left out one part?
Go ahead.
If we go all the way back, I just want to answer your question about so that residents can have a voice. I had the office to send out an email to all residents. I have the date and the time it was sent out to every resident. And I asked for all residents who were available, either they show face-to-face, they can respond by email, or they could join the meeting by phone, or however way was easiest for them to be a part of creating this process. Vendors process, contract process, and so I'm piggybacking off what you said. If you felt the need that you wanted to give a voice, I made sure that every single resident was invited out to be a part. Only 5 people showed. One person did send an email and one person did call. Other than that, we can't force anyone to be a part. Even if you couldn't make that date, I ask that you please respond and send something to me in the email, or I even said I can make sure that it was held virtually so you can jump in virtually. Only 5 people responded and showed up. 2 people responded email and phone. So all residents were given that opportunity.
What I'm asking about is this budget that's being approved for next year.
We haven't approved the budget. No, yeah. So with that being said, I mean, even the young lady that did not show up, I think some of her ideas was adopted.
Mm-hmm.
So
I took her email and I literally broke
so-
down the most
so
important
we're-
parts and added it.
this year, I think this has been the most transparent board that we ever had in Thousand Oaks. That's where we was moving towards, and that's where we're still gonna move towards, to be transparent to the resident. So it's nothing we're trying to hide. If we make mistake, I'm a big guy. I can own my mistake and I can keep it moving. I don't have a problem with owning my mistakes. If we made a mistake, hey, let's fix it. Other people have great ideas. Let's hear them. Might not agree with them, but let's hear them. Ma'am in the back, right here. Sir? Sir, right here. Sir in the green shirt.
I missed the last meeting, and I understood you were talking about the new management company and some software that they were looking to implement here. Has any decisions been made on that?
We have not made a decision on any management company.
That's all I have.
All right. Moving on. Board member conduct. Selena, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
So basically, I don't know who all was in attendance, and I want to acknowledge your response, Jocelyn. I don't expect any of these men up here, and I mean this in the most respectful way, to have my back. I'm not married to them and they don't owe me anything. So if he did walk out, oh well. My husband knows exactly what happened. He protected me at all costs. And I have family members and I contacted police. So I don't expect any of these gentlemen to even be men enough to support me. I came on this board by myself. I'm not connected to any of them, so I don't expect them to be in the presence of protecting me. That's why I have a husband. So I do want to say that openly because I know you are pounding on one particular person, but please know I'm not offended because that's why I'm married, okay? So I don't want you to think that I need any of them to be my bodyguards, okay? I do get your perspective, but I do, just moving forward, you don't have to worry about that, okay? Thank you for being concerned. In regards to the situation that happened last time, you all witnessed it, for those that was here. A board member did not like what I was saying because I was pointing out how we continue to be disrespectful, how we continue to mistreat each other, how we continue to overstep. And I basically made a statement about, and I wrote it down and I read it out so that I would not stumble upon anything that moving forward, everyone needs to be transparent. We need to be on one accord. And I made a statement about vendors and contracts. It's so bad now that I sent the email to Rance to let him know that I'm taking a break from that process. Because if everybody had a problem with the process, it should have been stated. Everything that I did was in writing. Everything that I did was transparent. Everybody had a voice. This was not Selena decision. This was a board decision. And if you look back at our agendas a couple of records ago, and I don't care if and I want to put this out here, Ms. Kay, I don't care if someone's recording. I don't care if someone is tracking this to go back and record it. I do not care. Because when you're doing what's right, none of that other foolishness matters. So anyways, with that being said, I was just stating that if you guys go back a couple of agendas and meetings ago, the protocol and process was adopted by the entire board. Everybody adopted it. So one person could not make a decision. The young lady asked the question, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. She asked the question about the clarification about different vendors and things changing. I was clarifying that our recent CAM resigned. Apparently there's something going out, I don't care, I don't know how it's going out, but it's stating that Selena made a decision to terminate or remove someone. I cannot remove, terminate, or make decisions by myself. I followed the protocol that everyone can see, everyone has access to. Selena didn't make any of these decisions on her own. So apparently it is being told that I am the reason why people are resigning or quitting. And I made a statement in my closing. I said, if vendors do not want to do what's best for our community, if we have board members that do not like this change, then you're doing the right thing by resigning or leaving. That's all I said. It turned from a yelling fest to a board member thinking it was okay to him to come up to me and raise his hand. And when he did that, I lost it. Yes, one of the board members left, his problem. Two other board members were speaking with other residents. Don't know if they were paying attention. Again, does not matter. This young man was not present. But at the end of the day, I have a right to say what I feel and what is my opinion based on what's best for the community. And I have a right to clear the air to let it be known Selena cannot make a decision on her own. And that's what happened. So I asked for right to call a special meeting. The rules are you must have at least two board members present. Two board members that request the special meeting. And I wanted to clear the air so that one, it can be recorded for residents to not, know what's really going on. And the problem is people don't like what change, and I guess they don't like other people. Again, I don't care. I'm not trying to figure that out. Bottom line is, I guess a fellow board member did not like what I was saying, and it went left. So moving forward, right, and fellow board members, I'm not taking that anymore. That will not happen anymore. A board member will not be allowed to come at me, raise his hand at me as if it is okay. And I will continue to do exactly what I did that night, and I will call the police, because bottom line is, I'm not gonna do anything that jeopardizes my husband, because my husband's job is to protect me. And if I feel that someone is putting me in a predicament to where I'm uncomfortable, and now they can use violence toward me, that is a problem.
All right. Any other board member want to speak on board misconduct?
Yes, we're going down the line, right? So, Selena, I didn't realize that even happened to you. Mike called that meeting over twice. It was somewhere around, if you look inside the YouTube, 28 minutes and something seconds. He called the meeting over, and he did it again. And when that happened, I left. So if you feel as if I've disrespected you, I apologize. If your husband feels as if I've disrespected you, I apologize. If the members of this community feel as if I've disrespected you, I apologize. I don't like this. I don't like the yelling. I don't like the screaming. I don't like the grandstanding. I don't like the pointing of fingers. I don't enjoy any of it. That's not for me. It's not for me to get mixed up in between individuals. And what I saw on that day, it didn't feel good.
It didn't what?
It did not feel good.
Oh, okay.
It could have been avoided. In this particular instance, I went back and I watched YouTube. The board member that I believe we must be talking about was actually speaking. And a different board member then began to speak over that board member. One raised the voice, the other one met them, and it kept going up. Wright called it. I watched the video. If you all go back, it's the second one. Fast forward to about 28 minutes, and you will see one board member was mentioning something about vendors. The next board member then began to comment on it, and another board member then began to insert while that person was speaking. During that, the board member that was speaking began to raise their voice and say, "I will not be overspoken." From there, the other board member began to speak and say different things as well. And it just continued to go up and up to the point where our president ended it in the middle of it twice. When I got up, people were still sitting down. When I got up, people were still sitting down. And I said, bye, and left. Because I'm not here for confusion. I'm not speaking with aggression. And I'm not here to defame anybody's character based off of my own personal opinion. Because it's not right. I've got a life outside of this room. I've got responsibilities, and I've got people that I serve besides the people inside of this room. So I don't appreciate anything that leans in the direction of defamation of character. If it's facts, feel free to tell me, and I will apologize if I have hurt somebody's feelings or done somebody wrong. Me getting up and leaving does not make me any less of a man, especially to my recollection. I never even saw the incident that is at question. And whether people agree to that, believe that, or not, is something that needs to be dealt with in the heart and the mind of the individual. But as I state my truth, I'll take my truth to the grave. And I'm confident enough that I'll be good with it there. As far as going forward, I think one lady mentioned it, two of them mentioned it out here today. These things need to simmer down. And maybe there needs to be some communication before people come in here. Because if I were to come in here and point my fingers at somebody else, I know that I am giving them reason to be on the defense. Because it's accusational. If I begin to lift my voice, some call that passion. I agree. Sometimes it is a passionate speech. That does not mean that somebody receives it that way. So I apologize to all of you all for our behavior. And for whatever it is that you look at me and you declare within your heart that I am the issue of, I apologize to you. You don't have to receive my apology, but I give it freely. Thank you.
Thanks. Regardless of what took place during the meeting, the wrong part of the board conduct, that was part of it. But once the meeting had been called, people should have exited the room. For another board member to come back and verbally attack another board member is completely wrong. Regardless of what happened during the meeting was over. It was time to disperse, and that didn't happen. It's the worst I've been coming to these board meetings. I haven't missed a single board meeting in 13 years. I've only sat on the board for 5. So as a resident like you all, I spent 8 years sitting in those seats, didn't miss a single one. My wife and I planned our vacations around board meetings. So we made sure we were here because it's important to contribute to the community. I have never seen it that bad. I don't ever want to see it that bad again. The problem is we don't, as a board or a community, have any kind of rules in place to address that. And I do see that as a problem. Because if we're going to continue down this road, it gives board members an open season to continue this behavior with no repercussions. We don't have anything adopted, but I would strongly encourage the board to come up with a policy that will address this. Unfortunately, I've worked in municipalities where commissioners behave like this towards one another. And we had to have a policy drawn up in order to address it. Because again, most of your city commissioners do not have anything other than the civility and decorum, which has no strength to it whatsoever. Suggestions as to how to behave. I do strongly encourage us to, in a calm frame of mind, come up with a way that should this happen in the future, we have a way of coming back and administering some sort of discipline for what took place. I'm also going to mention one other thing. If I can remember it. I'll come back to it. It'll come to me. But that's my biggest thing is
Old age.
Yeah. Old age and a long day of work, I promise you. But the biggest thing tonight, I mean, yes, I joined Selena in calling for this meeting because one, we had to address it. To try to wait until the October meeting was not an appropriate thing to do. We had to come together and do this right away. That reminds me of what the other thing is. Great suggestions for the board to try to come together ahead of time, but unfortunately we can't. For the board to come together as a group, we have to call a meeting and invite you all to it, which is no different than holding our board meeting. What we do have the privilege of is the packets that we get with all the information we're going to discuss is emailed to us ahead of time. And as board members, if we take that responsibility seriously, and we read that material ahead of time, and we come prepared for these meetings, then hopefully we can have an intelligent discussion on it. The problem is, far too often we come without being loaded with this knowledge. And I'm as busy as anybody else that can say that, but I make sure that I've read everything through before I get here. And if we're not ready for that, if we're not ready for these meetings, if we're not ready to ask intelligent questions and have intelligent discussions, then we're doing ourselves and you a disservice. And I apologize for that, because that's happened. But no, we can't get together as a board and discuss board issues without calling a meeting. That's the unfortunate part. See, my old age didn't quite get the best of me. And that's all I want to comment on.
All right. We adopted the civility and decorum part of it. And I see a couple of problems. I see a problem with the audience, and I see a problem with the board. If the audience don't like what the board members say, they forget about the civility and everything. They yell back. They speak when they should not speak. We're trying to run an orderly meeting. It may look like the board members are being rude by saying, hey, you already speak. That's what your 3 minutes was for. Hey, we got to get the meeting going on. People say, oh, you're being rude, you're being disrespectful, and all that. So, but these are some of the things that the audience asked for. So we got a parliamentarian that's separate from the board. So therefore, it's not the board members that's being rude to keep the meeting rolling. So we have tried it many ways. We have tried letting the public speak after every item. We was here for 2 hours, 3 hours. That was not good. Okay. Moving on to the board behavior, because that's part of chapter 720 of the Florida statute talk about the removal of a board member. You can member initiating removal, board initiating removal, appeal of a removal. Those are the 3 in the Florida statute.
I think you had someone on his phone before you.
Oh, I didn't even know he called in.
You want to take this?
I have you on the speaker down.
Yeah, go ahead.
They were talking about board members' conduct.
About what now?
Conduct, that's where we're at. First,
Board member conduct?
yes.
Okay.
Do you?
This is any other.
No, do you have anything to input?
No, because they discussed the contract yet?
No.
All right.
Let me say hi, let her get you, all right? Did I make any wrong?
Does he know he's on speaker?
All right. Moving forward. According to the Florida statute, those are pretty much the 3 reasons that we can remove a board member. Misconduct in qualifying one of those removals, it can be for misconduct. It can be violation of the governmental docs. Okay, everything I read, everything I went back to our docs. Our docs is very bland, we can remove somebody for a reason or without a reason, basically. But only the members, and when I say members, not the board members, only what is 10%?
It's a quorum.
Well,
It's a quorum, so you're gonna need, I think statute says 20%.
20% of the members can only remove a board members.
Maybe 30, right? I'd have to look that up.
I have to look it up. I thought
It's the same quorum that would be present for an annual meeting.
so. I thought I had it in my notes. The whole community. So those are the only way that the board members can be removed. So that's what, through my research, I had Glenn check with the lawyer to make sure, and I did my own research.
May I ask you a question? did the attorney, because you know, it's almost like when you're in grad school, you do this thing, one person say one thing, and by the time it gets back, it's not the way it's supposed to. Since we paid these attorneys, did we not get that in writing? Because I think that would be very helpful for the community to have that somewhere posted, that we would know exactly what the law is. I mean, I read it myself.
It is in writing. It's in your documents. It's Article 5 of your documents.
But it's the interpretation, you see, from a lawyer, that's why you call the attorney, because it was very easy to interpret. The average person would be able to go in, I'm just saying from my perspective, would be in to discern exactly what the law says. And that's why you guys, as an attorney, you ask Glenn to go to an attorney to get the interpretation of that law. And all I'm just saying, when Glenn came back, why couldn't that lawyer put it in writing so we would all have it? That's all.
We didn't need it in writing because we didn't go to the law. I wanted to make sure that we covered all bases, that we didn't miss anything. So before the lawyer even came back, I already had looked up the Florida Statute 720 and read what I read. Florida Statute 720 gave us the right to remove a board member for misconduct, but it also pointed us back to our docs. Then that's where the docs is written so plain that it's simple. It takes the majority of the community, of the members.
Well, that was my concern, because see, with the new Florida statute, most of the stuff will tell you that the statute overrides whatever is in the doc. So that's why I asked.
Okay.
It would be important to get
Even
a
if-
legal, you know.
That was the legal opinion. Even if we did that, even if we remove him from any member for misconduct, it has to go through the it has to go to I can't think of the board because I got my notes. He has the right to appeal, and we don't make that decision. The board, the governing board makes that decision. And just like a hearing. But we wouldn't make that decision. We would present our case, then he would present his case. So even if without the docs, going by the Florida law, if we just throw away our docs, but it specifically says we have to go to the docs within the Florida law, Article 720.
But you see where I'm coming from, because let's say if it had.
No, I don't see where you're coming from.
Yeah, if it had escalated where there would have been physical, harm done.
Okay.
Immediately, that person would have been removed from the board. You understand what I'm saying?
Our docs doesn't, even if it was physical.
Florida statute, there's no way that person would be sitting on this board if it had been a physical, hit on another board member.
Okay, I did not read that in 720.
Okay.
I read the whole 720. I took notes. These are my notes from 720. So I'm gonna move on because it wasn't physical. It was words. Nothing got physical. So I'm dealing with the situation at hand. Because so those are the rules of how to remove a board member. Those are the 3 categories of board members can be removed, and their board member can be removed for misconduct and violating the rules and regulations of the community. And that can be done, but then that person has appeal rights also. Okay, so. But my whole thing about the whole meeting is respect goes everywhere, goes both ways. Somebody told me, I'm just be real. Somebody told me, you don't look good. The way you're going back and forth, you don't look good. So guess what I did? I don't even really raise my voice anymore. Because that person don't even really know me. That's not a good look for you. So I can't control somebody else's behavior. To anybody, I'm a husband to Ebony Thompson. I'm a father to Maddox and Michaela Thompson. I'm a pillar for my family, the Thompsons and the Browns. At the end of the day, I gotta make sure I go home to the Thompsons and the Browns. So, and I'm never gonna allow anybody to attack anybody. But at the end of the day, my responsibility and who I stood in front of God and say who I'm gonna love is Ebony Thompson. So, with that being said, we can move on to.
Mr. Burke, can I say something? Ms. Palmer?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Listen, yes, I was not here last month. I did send a text to Ray saying that I would be out of town, correct, Ray?
Yes.
But after reading our rules and hearing the situation, I've heard it from different folks. And I've even talked to Ray. Selena. I don't know where we're moving, so I want a little clarity. I just want a little clarity. I know we're talking about moving on, and you're saying that there's a percentage that the community has to come forward and say, I want this person off the board.
Yes.
Who takes that responsibility? Who initiates that? Someone from the community can start a petition and do that? Is that
That will be what we call the member initiated removal.
Member initiated removal, and someone could do that?
Yes.
And we're saying 20 or 30%? It's 30% of the community. And so we know how many people live in the community?
696 units.
And what would that do? Tell me, mathematician. How many would that
It's 209.
209. And what would they do on this petition? Would they say what was, that's in these board meetings about misconduct of a board member on there to say why I want this person?
The petition has to clearly state what is the reason for the petition. So if the petition state, we want to remove the board as a whole or remove a board member, they're more than welcome to state. But the petition has to clearly state the objective of what's being done.
Can they use what's on this agenda?
Sure.
Just board misconduct.
Yeah, misconduct.
Yeah.
And once they get that, who do they present it to?
They will, at that time, we would present it to the property manager, and then we would have the lawyer certified.
Okay, I thought it actually come back to the board. And
No.
from the board, they give it to the attorney, not the property manager.
The property manager has collected most of all the proxies, and then we give it to the attorney to certify.
Okay.
It doesn't come to it comes to the board to vote, or we wouldn't be a board. That's how it happens in the
I
family.
had to set a hearing.
That's what I'm saying. The attorney would be here.
Yeah, but I thought when, let's say the community collected, it then goes before the board, for the board to determine, like we asked you before, would you set a hearing? And of course you didn't.
No,
I'm just saying, when we asked before, and you did, when it comes to the board, you send a copy to the attorney. And then it moves from there.
it does. We still have to validate. The attorney still have to validate the signatures to make sure all the people that's on there.
Yes, not the property manager.
I didn't say the property manager. He said collect.
Who's it going? That's what I want.
If the person, okay, let me, if the proxy come in one by one, as in just like the normal proxy that they send out, who collects the normal proxy? It usually be the property manager, right? So if the signature comes in one by one, or if the person want to hold all the signatures to the meeting, then you can hold all the signatures to the meeting, and then we can present. But his question was who collect them. if they come in, depending on the way they come in, because we have done this before.
Okay.
So we give it to the lawyer, and the lawyer verifies the signatures and make sure everything is legitimate. So in the members, that's what in a board, it's the majority of the board can initiate it.
There's 2 ways.
No, it's 3 ways.
It's 3 ways.
Yes.
Okay, the board could do it.
And appeal of there's 2 ways to the appeal of the removal is the person appealing. Sorry. The two ways initiated. Sorry.
Explain that.
Well, I'm not 100% sure that the board can actually remove a board.
No, we
member.
can't, we can't
Okay.
initiate.
The board can actually vote, like if we didn't want Wright to be president anymore, if we had a majority of the board that says we want to remove him from office, yes, the board can do that, but we cannot remove him from the board.
Gotcha.
The only way to remove from the board is 30% of the community.
But that's not his question. The board can initiate the removal of
Oh,
another
they
board.
can.
That's
They're
what
gonna
we're-
do the same thing.
That's
We'd have to
that's
go
the one I'm saying.
30%.
It goes back to it goes back to what our docs say. That's what I'm saying. It didn't matter who initiated, because Florida statute sent you back to your docs and say, hey, what does your docs say? Because they didn't have a blanket rule to say, okay, you just need 200 people.
Okay, so let's go back. Just one more question. So let's say the board initiated,
Mhm.
and you go back to your docs. Does that mean you still have to get 30%?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I want to hear.
So it can either be community.
Community driven
Board
Or the
driven.
board.
driven. I'd rather be community. This is my opinion, okay? This is just my opinion. I'd rather be community driven. And I'd like to see how we're gonna do this, because listen, until we do this though, my other question was, until it's done, there's no way a suspension can be given.
We can't remove a person, but we can come up with rules and regulations that governs our community. We can't remove a
Okay.
person.
But you can suspend until removal happens.
Not right now, because we don't have any rules or regulations.
It's interesting, because I just think that, to me, if we have a majority of the board saying, hey, look, we've got to work through some things. Until we work through some things, it's just like someone not being fired. They've been suspended from the workforce until they can work through what they need to work through. And that cannot happen here.
We don't have a rule or a regulation that tell us that. Now, if we want to vote and put in a rule or regulation, we can't go back. We can't go back and make that. It has to be moving forward.
But the last issue, if you make that ruling today, you can't grandfather, right? You can't retroact.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with us making that rule. We can make. That's one of the things that I talked about earlier. We don't have a lot of rules and regulations that really govern our community.
Okay.
So therefore, that's why we have those committees together. If we want to put a rule and regulation, I'm fine with it.
I think we should make a rule and regulation that if this happens going forward, we should suspend the board member for X amount of months. That's a rule and regulation. Yeah, but you can make it going forward, right? You can do a motion.
And I think that was part of what I requested of this board, is to develop a policy. Because if we just start tonight and say, if what happens, we have to address it specifically. So if it's too vague,
All right.
then that's why I say, and we can work on it. We can borrow policies from other boards, and it doesn't have to be HOA boards. It can be other community boards. It can be city commissions. It can be city council, whatever. We can borrow that kind of stuff and be able to develop our own that's more specific. And then we can adopt that and then be able to.
And that's fine because our docs are very, very simple. It can be with reason or without reason. So if we put a policy in place and that person keep violating that policy, then therefore we have the documentation to move forward to do what we need to do. But we don't have those policies. A lot of policy, the first time a lot of these policies that was put in place was this year. I've been hollering for policies for years. Nobody wanted to. So we can, I don't mind putting in any policy or anything.
I'm gonna suggest that we, do that, and then, hold on, I'm speaking right now. So what I wanna do is, if we could do the policy, we could recommend that, and then we have someone on the community start this petition ASAP, and we move forward.
That's up to.
That's up to them.
Right.
Yes, Jeff.
Right, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Just in case my phone go out, I want to cast my vote now because it looks like that's where we're going. Obviously, I'm well aware of what's happening and why it's happening, and I will have a date in court. That's where this is going. That'll happen. The other thing is I'm voting against creating any new rules or changing our current policies. Their position and history will be on my side.
All right, thank you. So we don't beat that horse. We can move off the board.
Are you gonna put a timeline on when you can have a policy like that, please?
We can send it to a committee, let a committee do the research or give us some time. We can board members can come up with some type of policy.
Would that be a planning committee? Because it sure won't be an audit committee.
Again, excuse me, Jeff, you're not recognized by the chair. Excuse me, Jeff, you're not recognized by the chair.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna regret saying this, but I would be happy to volunteer to put together the policy.
No
for
problem.
review of the board.
We hadn't put a committee. We do have a committee that we're working on different policy. That committee did a great job on the vendor policy and things like that. They invited the whole community out. Only 5 people showed up to that meeting, and they did an outstanding job. So it's not a certain committee. We can develop whatever committee we want, and whoever want to be on it to make those suggestions.
I understand that. I thought we were trying to use the audit committee as that committee.
No, please, no, we're not. All right, so we're gonna move on. We'll put a committee together, and then we'll come up with those rules and regulations. All right.
Perfect.
Cool. Okay. We're moving on to lawn maintenance contract.
Can I ask a quick question, right, Mr. President? Just a quick question. You can say
Go.
yes or no.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Can a board member call in on the phone and vote on any item? See, I didn't think that was legal. You have to be present to vote on an item, not if you had to be here. I mean, you can listen in, but certainly not vote, and I just wanted to kind of bring up to your attention.
No,
This may make it easier. Here's the comparisons. This is Brightview, how much they cost. This tells their prices. You don't have to look at each.
yes.
And
We
this
had
is
this.
what our current, that's the current vendors.
Yeah, we had that last week.
Yes, I gave that. I made this for you. This is what we're currently paying, and this is, and so you don't have to go and flip through each one. Yeah. Huh?
I seen it last time. I already know.
Yeah, just give it back to me. Let me get you a copy.
All right, thank you.
Can you make sure this is okay?
All right, can I have a motion?
Yeah, let's make a motion.
Wait, no, you can have this one. I have it tomorrow.
Okay. What's up, guys?
Okay. I'm gonna make a motion that we accept the bid and negotiate with Brightview for our new landscaping contract.
All right, motion, anybody second?
We don't have to.
But then we have like before, it was grass. We have to-
Anybody second?
Right. Is what I motioned for Brightview. That was the last one here. They're the least expensive.
All right. Any discussion?
I have some comments to add to it, if I may.
Go ahead.
I did receive a few phone calls with residents' preference, and I respect those. However, when I made my decision as to which company I would motion for, cost was one concern, but not the sole concern. For those that were here for the presentation, if you remember, Brightview is the one and only company that will have a staff or crew here 5 days a week. So in other words, they will be working in the community every single day that they're here. They will produce the schedules. They will have the app that you can file, you can put in work orders. They will have the organization that we need, as well as one of the expenses that we continue to run over on is irrigation. Our current landscaper does not have the experience to work on the irrigation. Unfortunately, you all do not. You have the ability, you ask for it, but most of you don't, and for good reason. But if you were to look at his invoices for irrigation, most of the stuff he subs out. So in other words, not only are we paying him for it, we're paying a markup to him for it as well. I'm looking at a company that is well-rounded, fully staffed. They're not gonna have to go out and buy equipment. They're well-respected throughout the state. They did bid for this a couple of years ago and did not get the contract. They were not the company that we hired after O'Hara. That was Property Works. Okay? This is Brightview, totally different. But my recommendation is based on the fact that they have the experience in irrigation. They will have gardeners here every single day of the week. So the low-lying trees, you guys pass by the orchid trees, they've got sloppy in your face if you're walking or running. That's part of their proposal, is to lift those. That's not an extra cost that we have to go out and get a tree person for. They'll lift the canopy up to a certain height on those. They'll make sure the grass is mowed. They'll make sure your driveways are sprayed for weeds. They'll make sure the sidewalks are sprayed for weeds. They'll make sure that hedges are on a regular schedule. It's not something we have to remind them. Our current vendor, unfortunately, if I want the hedge around the community cut, I have to call and remind him to do it. This will be scheduled. I love our current vendor, superhuman. I absolutely love him. But we have to take care of the community. Far too often I hear that it's not the same as it was when I moved in 5, 10, 15 years ago. That's not. And it's because we do not have the organization that it takes to run that type of service. So that's why I'm making my recommendation.
Mr. President, are you allowing folks in the audience to?
No, we're gonna do the board and we're gonna vote.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I just wanna say, if you guys haven't done the property manager motion, I'd like to give my vote for whatever Wright decides, and on the non-maintenance, whatever Joe decides.
You can't give your vote by proxy.
You can't do that, Jeff.
Okay. I just didn't want my vote to die.
Okay.
Anybody, any other discussion? I know a lot of people like all the bells and whistles, but sometimes being personable with people and understanding the community is more important than the bells and whistles at times. Because in my research, we're gonna get hit over the head with fees when it comes to irrigation. Because they're in another community and the community said that's where they're getting hit over the head, similar to O'Hara. My problem is not any vendor. My problem is the board. Because we don't hold these vendors accountable. Because at the end of the day, we done went through three lawn companies. What's gonna make them different is we don't hold them accountable. So O'Hara was great until they wasn't. Mr. Russ was great until they wasn't. The other company was great until they wasn't. The security company was great until they wasn't. At the end of the day, when are we gonna be held accountable to hold these vendors accountable? So we're gonna keep going through vendor after vendor if we don't put in place procedures and policies to hold these vendors accountable. Because what's gonna end up happening is we're gonna run out of vendors and we're gonna end up recycling vendors all over again. And that's why we brought O'Hara back the second time, and we got rid of them a second time. So.
No, I just actually want to hear.
So that's my opinion on it.
Can I make a statement to what you said? And I'm not in the mood to yell or anything, but I'm going back to the new process that we put in place. We put a process in place for a reason. You say you hold the board accountable, but I'm right now going through headache, hell, and hot water for trying to uphold the process and protocol that we put in place. You know what I'm going through. So for you to then say you hold the board responsible when I'm trying to follow a protocol that we put in place, and this is why I'm going through the foolishness that I'm going through now. So how can you say you hold the board responsible when I'm trying to follow a protocol? Even with the committees, we put the 3-step process in place. We have yet to follow it. And when someone tries to lead it, it's a problem.
Can I respond to you?
Yes.
I'm not addressing you. I'm not addressing the policy. I'm addressing how our community is being run. I wouldn't have asked for the policies and procedure moving forward. What I'm saying is it doesn't matter any vendor that we get if we don't hold that vendor accountable. So that's my point. The policies and the procedures is part of holding the vendors accountable. Just like I said, hey, we need to do some type of evaluation of the vendors. So we need to do to hold them accountable. Not a group of people come in the board meeting because they unhappy with a vendor, and then because they make waves or a board member unhappy with a vendor, and then we go out and look for new vendors. That's all I'm saying is put policy and procedure. Now, if you feel like I'm not adhering to what you're saying, that's not what I was talking about overall. My thing is we recycling vendors. That's my point. So
No, we're not taking questions.
go ahead.
So who are you requesting to be responsible to make sure, let's say we have the evaluation process for the 3 strikes? Because I do believe that before you get rid of a vendor, you need to give them due process. So I'm in agreement with you. So my question to you is, who's going to be responsible for doing the 3 strikes and evaluating them to make sure that it's done correctly and the vendors are following through?
That's the responsibility of the property manager. The property manager is the one that manages the community. Just as in a city, the property manager, they're responsible for all the vendors. The board should be the one resolving any issues that comes from the property manager and from those vendors. We should not be. That's why we pay people to do their job. That's why I'm talking about holding people accountable. If they can't do their job, then we get rid of them. I have no problem getting rid of anybody. So
while we're in the process of doing these new contracts, is this going to be stated to these new vendors?
Yes.
That these are the steps that we're requiring you to follow?
Yes.
Because that's the only way we can do that.
Our vendors, whoever we pick to be the property manager has to go through a process of learning what we want from them. And beforehand, it was no It was no rules. It was nothing to give the vendor. What we're doing right now is creating either a handbook for the property manager. This is the way things are gonna be handled by policies and procedures. That's where we're moving to, having policies and procedures in place to do things. Right now, we got a lot of holes. We filled a lot of them in, just like Skip just asked. What do we do with X, Y, and Z? We don't have a policy and procedure for that. So at this point in time, we at a great place in our community, and we got a group of people that's interested in developing policies and procedures so that we can be transparent. So it's going to be an ongoing process with the policies and procedures. That when a problem come up, we should have a policy and procedure. It's kind of like if we already voted on something, a person should not have to go back through the archives to find the answer, through the archives of the meeting notes to find the answer. If it's something about the driveways, we should have somewhere in a Google Doc or somewhere in the document say driveways. If this was the question, this is the answer. But a lot of times we got to go back and we made that decision 20 years ago. But if we have this stuff organized and in a place and a question and answer process, we don't have to go back. Those are the governing documents of our community outside of our actual document. That's where we're trying to get to.
Jeff, are you taking questions for me?
We're just dealing with the board.
I do have
Just-
to ask
a question. What was the
There hasn't been a vote.
Thank you.
Right, okay.
I believe that we're headed in that direction. And that's what I wanted to mention, because there's been a lot of things that have changed. Policies, procedures, things are happening like right now. And the thing about it is sometimes we still carry the past with us, and it can make you angry because it doesn't look like it's moving fast enough. But these things are actually happening right now. And so with a little more time and a little more patience and a little more diligence from all of the committees and the board members, I think that over a few months or so, we'll be able to look back and see where we made that pivot. So, I want to say that I agree with both of the board members that just spoke, and I think that we're in that pivot. So everyone can just be patient and keep moving forward. Keep a positive mental attitude and bring positivity to this board. Let that positivity reign because it makes a difference. People are very offended inside of the room, and it doesn't need to be that way. We can talk with each other. We can make these things happen. Thank you.
All right, no more discussion. All in favor for Brightview?
Hold on, I got a question. Well, I don't know if he's taking the question. That's what I want to find out.
No.
He's not taking it. He's not taking it. He's not taking it.
So it's 2-2. Did you vote, Selena, for Brightview?
Yes.
Okay, it's 3-1.
Who voted now?
Me.
Okay, just yes.
Yeah.
So it's bright.
All right, set a date for the budget workshop.
I'm going to speak on that, sir. I had the privilege of sitting down with Ian from the audit committee and Glenn this week on Monday to do a preliminary budget review. We also discussed, because we were unable to get to this item on our last meeting, because it was on our agenda for the last meeting. We had set our November board meeting because it was falling on Veterans Day, and we, as a board, decided to move it to the 4th. The problem is, knowing we're coming up on budget season, and we've got another board meeting on the 14th, we're not gonna have enough time to get everything done. So Glenn's suggestion, and Ann and I agreed with him, would be to hold the budget workshop on the 21st of October. It's a Monday night, the week after the board meeting. And then do the November board meeting on the 18th, which is when we would approve the budget. That was the suggestion.
Do we got enough time to mail it out?
Yes,
That's
Okay.
why.
14-day notice. That's why we pushed the
It
board
was
meeting.
October, what?
October 21st for the budget workshop.
I probably don't be here on the Monday night.
Do you want to move it to a different night? then?
It don't matter, cause I coach football
I know.
and I'm not gonna be here.
And I will tell you, through our preliminary review, there will be some significant savings for the residents.
No, I'm.
So are you
listen,
comfortable with us going
listen,
forward with it?
I'm cool with whatever the budget come out with, because I know I ain't got, trust me, I don't have to worry about much like I had to worry in the past. So I'm cool not being here. Trust me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be here.
I'm cool.
I won't be here. I'll be at work.
Huh? No, I'm cool not, trust me, I'm cool. All right, we need a date.
October 21st. Selena, is that a good date for you?
It's just off,
It's a workshop, so.
we don't need a quorum.
So you don't have to have a quorum.
Okay, good.
No,
Just a
we,
workshop.
we'll need a quorum. We just need the people to show up to. Yeah, that's the biggest one that the community should show up to, because that's the one where your HOA fees is gonna be affected the most, and you can see how we do. You know, so if you don't make one, you should make this one. So, all right, we good on the date?
I'm great.
What time?
This is one of the most important, if you, yeah. No, 20, sorry. All right, 21st, all right. Huh? Yeah, we're only gonna have, well, we did that because we wanted people to really see what it goes through in order to get the money down to minimal increases, and to see that a lot of things are fixed costs when your stuff goes up. It turned out to be about like almost 75% was already fixed costs. The only thing we can mess around with a little more than like 20%. And like, I think everything went up $10, something like that. But the biggest thing was those fixed cost things that we have no control over. So we got the date, vendor committee.
Because the HOA from the biggest things that come out of the community. Is it possible if we had it in a bigger place so we can? Just also what they
I don't want to be honest with you. I don't want to pay for something, then it still be this group right here, because it was last year. It was pretty much this group right here. And when people came to that second meeting because it was a misunderstanding that their fees was gonna go up to $700-800 a month. But there was a misunderstanding. We just did those meetings to work the budget out. And those people, somebody put a room out there that we was trying to, then that's why the room was packed. So we have the date. Let's move on to the last item on it.
Right, if I may. Part of that too, setting the date for the budget workshop on the 21st would be to move the November meeting to the 18th.
Yes.
Not the 4th, because we have to have the time to get the notice out, or the budget out for the budget meeting.
No, that's that Tuesday. That's that Tuesday, right? I thought we said do that Tuesday.
No, we didn't. We actually voted for the 4th, which was the Monday before.
Okay.
So can we do the 18th? It's Monday, November the 18th.
Okay, so I ain't gotta be here on the Monday the 4th, right?
No,
Just switch you to the 18th.
All right, I can
Are
do
we
that.
good with that?
Nah, I still won't be there. I'll be at work.
So the vendor committee. I know some people think that I'm against the vendor committee or whatever. No, only thing I was saying was that all proposals should go to the board. And it was one group, we only had one presenter, but it was multiple bids. So
Can I speak on that?
go ahead.
Okay. Part of if we read through the policy again that we all unanimously agreed on, the committee would vote on the top 3 to send to the board. So that's not seeing every proposal. We put it in their hands to bring the top 3 to us. There were 2 candidates, not multiple. There were 2.
When I say multiple is more than one.
Yeah, but I want to make sure they understand that there weren't 5 or 6 candidates. There were 2 candidates. The committee, for their own reasons, disqualified one. But if the board would like to hear from that one, we can certainly have them come to the next meeting.
What?
But my thing is, because we are delaying it till the 14th with the presentation then, and knowing, at least my knowledge at this point, without hearing anything different, that our current CAM's last day is October 31st, we need to come prepared to make a decision that night.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
My point is, if we don't have multiple people, let's not just give one, because I don't want a misconception that is somebody already have a relationship, because that's what we're trying to get away from. If it's 2, then we just present the 2. You guys on that committee more than welcome to give us a little note saying, hey, this red flag I found, blah, blah, blah. And we make our decision from your proposal, from your report. I don't want us to go in there with one vendor and then some lies get around the community that is somebody, that vendor is part of some. If we have multiple, then we give a choice. That's all I'm saying.
Can I address what you just said? I'm only commenting to your last statement. That second vendor had a relationship, made it known, stated it in writing, and did not follow the correct process at first. So that's why the board and the team, I'll say the committee, was hesitant, because they said that in writing. So if we want to be transparent, residents, this second vendor already shared with us that they have a personal relationship with one of the board members and our accountant. So please be mindful, and that was in writing. And the first time I had to say, and Rance CC the email with me as well, you are required to follow the new protocol despite your personal relationship with board members or whomever else you're connected to. So I need that to be put out there.
That's not where I'm trying to go with this.
I didn't say that's not.
I didn't
say that. You're missing.
No, I know. I say that. I know. But that wasn't where I was going with the part that somebody is saying that. Somebody said that it was a member of the committee. The only one that we selected was possibly the management company of one of the committee members.
Huh? We don't
Home.
know any of those.
I get, okay, listen. What I'm saying is, just to be transparent, we can present it, you can give your reports, and then we can disqualify that person. Only thing I'm saying is, if we're going through transparency, let's just be transparent. We only got 2. We only got one person approved. Why didn't anybody from that committee explain in front of the board why that second person was not there? That should have been done. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I guess because we thought we was,
following the protocol.
yes,
So we need that.
May I say one thing? It's almost like it was an insult to the committee when a board member now wants everybody. We work hard. We probably stay on our phones more than you guys stays on your phones trying to get vendors. So we got all these vendors, and we sent out the notice and all that. And then after we selected 3, right? We narrowed it down to 3 or 4. We sent it to the board, and then after all of that, we get this thing from a board member. They want everything that we sent out to all the vendors. That's a lot of work. You understand what I'm saying?
Let me.
It's a procedure in place.
It is a procedure.
The board member is asking for more, so.
But what's the difference? What's the difference from a committee member asking other vendors for everything they want to see? So it's no different for a board member to check the process and make sure the process of a committee is done right. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
No, I don't understand that.
No, I
So
do.
let me finish, because I was in purchasing for a long time. If you have a committee and you're saying the board voted for it, this is the protocol. So you send out, let's say 15 or 30 applications, to try to get people to bid on a project. Then the board says, go ahead and narrow that down. You didn't tell us, okay, I'm sorry, I only want you to narrow it down to 10, or if you got 5, I want all 5. You didn't say that.
The rules say 3.
That's right, so we
Okay.
narrowed it down.
And I think if you had 3, right, we work together, and you only had 2 cams, I feel that the 2 should have came, and what you said earlier, by saying your special.
If it wasn't 3, if it was 5, only thing I'm saying is this. If we only got 1,
I understand that.
then that's all I'm saying. I don't know where all this other stuff.
Well, because the board asked for it.
Yeah, because I asked. Okay,
Not for that, not for those, I'm talking about, it was the other contract that the board asked us to send all of the vendors that we had, sent out for, for the proposal.
No,
Yes.
I didn't ask for that. What I asked for,
I know.
what I found out was it was 2 vendors, right?
And you
Let me
just
finish.
asked for the other one.
I just asked for the other vendors so it makes sure that it was transparent. If you guys would have conveyed to us, conveyed to me, this vendor did not follow the qualification. This is why we disqualified him. So when through all, what I'm saying is through all everything that happened last board meeting, I found out it was a second vendor. We only had one presenter. And one of the biggest thing was, the complaint is that we should have competitive bids. And I'm just going by from the same people from the audience that said we should have competitive bid. To me, one vendor is not competitive. So we don't have anybody to vote for. We're forced to use that one person. So when I found out it was the second person, I didn't care if his thing was more, less. We should have had the reason why we didn't meet our quota of multiple bidders, because that was the biggest sticking point for everybody. That's why we put the policy in place.
Yeah, well, that's why she mentioned
I want to say something.
because
Let me make a statement. Can that be in writing? Can you add that in writing as well?
yes.
So that it can be transparent that
I'm gonna
that
ask.
statement, hold on, I'm not finished yet. Can you add that part so it can be in writing?
But it's
Exactly
already
what you
it's already there.
No, I'm not talking, I'm talking about the part that you just said, make a note, even though Rance, you'll be responsible, because I'm not dealing with extra headache. The note you just said, make a note to board members to let you all know that if someone did not follow the protocol or someone made something that showed some type of red flag, can that be added in writing so that it's transparent to everyone?
No, that's fine. The only thing I'm saying is if we got one vendor, because that was what I'm recalling is this, to stay transparent. If we had one vendor, because that was some of the issue of how we selected vendors. If we had only one vendor present, and then we had 2 qualified. Tell me as a board member, how many vendors, I don't have to see what's going on. Tell me why the second vendor is not available.
I think they're saying that. I think they're saying it's just going
That's
to
all.
write.
Here's what I would like to ask, since
Everybody's
you
now
and
saying something that we wasn't aware of.
we're involved, but I'm gonna try to, Francis Lehman, if y'all put it out there or okay it to change our procedures, that if there's less than 3 vendors turn in, we have to present them all.
But
Is that okay?
it doesn't need to be done because the procedure says 3 vendors. So if the procedure says 3 vendors and we only have 2, why do we have 1? That's all.
It was based on the criteria, that the person knew
We looked
someone.
at it.
That's what you all said, if someone knows someone, the person said that. They knew they knew our financial person, they knew the board member, they had worked with the board member, so that was a qualification. But from now on, you won't disqualify me just for the note.
When you say no, so,
They have worked with them, they have worked with, they still work with them.
okay,
They still work with them.
when you say work with, like, so you're telling me,
They work at another, for example, they would work
So-
at another homeowners association
Yeah.
in the same
So I'm gonna
area.
show it to you.
okay, they work across the street.
Yeah, well, I'm just using
No,
that.
no, I'm just saying. So you mean to tell me we can't use a vendor that work with another community that's close to us?
Well, the person came and told us that, and didn't follow the procedures.
No, I'm fine with him not, the person not following the procedure.
But I'm just saying, from now on, we'll just write all that down.
So somebody would like to, I didn't think we need a motion, but somebody would like to do a motion
Yeah, it needs to be in the
Just a
minutes.
motion.
What are we making a motion for?
to amend the vendor, policy.
The policy doesn't need to be amended, because it clearly states that they would send the top 3 to the board. So if there is less than 3, that automatically, as long as they meet the qualifications, you're gonna send them all up.
Yes.
There doesn't need to be an
And
amendment.
if they don't, we will make a note.
No, and still send it, I guess, we'll still
So
send it.
that's why it's one.
Yeah, we'll still send it, but we'll put a
Yeah.
note on.
But we, in the level of transparency,
Yeah, we'll put a note
it
on
makes,
it.
we should know why a vendor doesn't qualify.
But we will put a note on it.
All right, I'm moving forward. We set the meeting for the next board meeting,
Next board meeting is
the 14th of November,
October.
October.
Next board meeting is October 14th.
October.
Board workshop, budget workshop is October 21st. And then the November board meeting will be on the 18th, the third Monday. And that's a budget meeting.
Right, I would like to say something, I wanted to go on record, please. I wanted to go on record that I do not want vendors coming to my home asking for my husband to come to the door to sign their checks when he's at work. I will not have vendors coming to my home wanting their checks signed. I called my husband, I said, somebody just came to the house and he didn't know anything about it. I will not have them coming to my home.
I do think that's not professional
That's
from the office.
Uncalled for, I don't know.
Okay.
Yes, they should.
Okay,
Send
again.
an unsigned check
So I
to the
wanna get on
house
record.
with the vendor.
Again, we already addressed that because I was working today and I got a knock on my door. My kids say a person at the door. And as I stated, I got the text and I told the person, I'm working. When I get done, again, okay. We're not worried about stuff that's not gonna be an issue. Again, we put policy and procedures in place that's gonna take care of that. I mean,
And that
Well, at
is-
least you were notified, he wasn't.
I wasn't notified.
Oh, okay.
but-
I was working.
But right, the most important part of that is that the check was not signed. And we're
Again.
giving vendors, I'm just saying, for the audience purpose, that the check is not signed by anyone.
So-
We're actually giving a vendor a check with no signature.
Again,
Okay?
we addressed the situation.
Okay.
And the way we're moving forward, that should not happen again. So we can make a big deal out of it if we
It's
want,
not a big deal, it's-
or we can just move forward that it was handled because I was not happy, because again, I was working.
Even if he wasn't.
No.
it's inappropriate.
So,
Yeah, it's inappropriate.
all right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, George. You gonna close it? Nobody done? All right. That's all right.
Thank you.
All right.
Can I ask, I can get my
Go ahead, please.
I get the updates from consultants.
You gotta, get with the property manager.